Good evening. Tonight, my guests include the actor reckoned to be one of Hollywood's best, Mr. Morgan Freeman, and the footballer so famous he had a play named after him, Mr. Gary Lineker. First, not so much an actress, more an institution. She made an early television appearance in Coronation Street in the distant days of black and white and scenery that wobbled. Since then, she's starred in the West End and Broadway. She's performed in parts written by William Shakespeare and Richard Rodgers, Alan Bennett and Stephen Sondheim. On television, she created the nation's favourite battle axe, a frightful hyacinth bouquet. Now, last year, you voted her the nation's favourite actress at the BBC's 60th anniversary celebration. She just finished the last in a series of Hetty Wainthropp Investigates. She is, of course, Patricia Routledge. They were saying out there, at last a woman on the show, they were saying.
Really?
We've had some criticism about not having
Have
a
you
woman.
indeed?
I'm delighted that you're the first, actually.
Not the token woman, I trust.
How dare I even think about it in your company? You just sort of finished, I said, the Hetty Wainthropp series. That had a particular resonance with you, didn't it, playing the part of that person?
Yes, it did.
Why?
It began its life with my reading the original novel, Missing Persons, by David Cook, who was an actor-writer. And I read it for book at bedtime and enjoyed it very much. And then we did a 2-hour adaptation of the novel for Yorkshire Television, and there was a lot of talk about turning it into episodic treatment. And finally, the BBC took it up.
What was it about it, though, that appealed to you?
The spirit of the woman.
In what sense?
A woman in her late 60s in the novel, and she finds herself at the end of her life and responds to whatever talent she's got with gumption and intelligence, and builds a business and helps people.
And why did you find this particularly appealing, this kind of person?
Flying the flag for the senior citizen.
Is that right?
Yes, I think so.
Are you sick of being cast as this? Or was it now? You're not middle age. You're middle youth now, isn't it?
Oh, middle youth.
Middle youth. It's an ad man's
Younger
phrase,
than
isn't it?
springtime, I always consider myself.
So you're not going to go quietly, are you? You're not
Not
one of those.
at all, no. My father didn't.
Didn't he?
No. He had a great sense of adventure at the age of 85, and I intend to carry the baton.
You had a marvellously sort of, although it wasn't a theatrical family in the sense it wasn't on stage, it was theatrical in the sense of having larger-than-life characters in it, because you also had, if I'm read my research right, an octogenarian auntie who used to clean her windows at 84.
Well, during the war, you couldn't get window cleaners. They'd all gone to the front. And Aunt Annie, who was quite a character, decided she wasn't going to have dirty windows. So she hired a ladder, and at the age of 84, got up and cleaned her windows. Curiously enough, she fell off the ladder and had 5 stitches in her head. Later, much later, at the tender age of 94, she had her lunch one day, she washed up, she tidied up, she lay down on the sofa and went to her great reward.
Marvellous.
What about that?
And she'd never have to clean her windows again.
Never.
But then going back on this thing about being older, you yourself as an actress, do you find that what you like about being older is the certainty of knowing what you're doing?
And the terror of knowing a little more about it than I did at the beginning of my working life. If you know more about it, I think it becomes more difficult to do. But the great joy is that I've had just a nice, steady climb.
You've had an extraordinary career, actually.
It's been
it's when you read about it, the problem with television is that it promotes you in a certain area so that people believe that's all that you ever are and all you ever did. And then you look back in your history, it's quite remarkable. For instance, I did not know, and I've been a fan of yours for years, that you were in Coronation Street.
Yes, I was. I did 3 episodes. Mrs. Snape. They built a cafe for me. Gadget coffee machine, milkshake machine and everything. And I thought I was just a character for the 2 weeks of the time. And the designer came to me and he said, you're happy in this set? And I said, oh, yes, it'll be all right for a fortnight. He said, you don't think I built this just for a fortnight, do you? Anyway, they got the value out of the set. I didn't go back. I got on with other things. And my father kept writing to me saying, they've been into your cafe, you're having your feet done. And then finally, 6 months later, he said, you've gone to Newcastle, they've sold your cafe.
That was the end of your
So that was the end of that.
We found it, the clip. The
Oh, are we going to see it?
Just what, 1960?
Oh, it's high heels, tight sweaters.
Well, look at this.
Oh, my word.
Sexy little minx you are.
I'll have to get a look.
Oh.
Ready for a drink, then?
I'll have a cup of tea if you don't mind.
I'm waiting the water boiling. Won't be a minute if you don't mind waiting. Be the first cup I've poured this morning.
How's business then?
Well, you can't make a living on cups of tea, no matter what some folk think.
Well, I better have a couple of them cheese pound cakes then.
I wasn't trying to suggest anything.
I should hope not. And you're a married woman and all.
Go on with you. There you are.
So,
2 cheese.
I'll wait for my tea if you don't mind. I'd choke my pipes if I tried to down them dry.
Cheeky monkey. To work on your own account?
No, I work for Shorrocks's. Didn't Doreen tell you?
Tell you the truth, I just told her we wanted a plumber and she rang up.
Ah, well, if you ever want us again, telephone number's 2778. You know, ask for Joe. Joe Meckinson.
I'll write it down.
Of course, I could always do it for you private-like, you know, to be cheaper for you and all.
How do I get hold of you?
I'm very ticklish under the arms, but apart from that...
Send the plumbers round.
It could still be there.
Very heady, absolutely.
Yeah. And you see...
Very heady stuff for 1962.
A bit cheeky, that. Having a frisk there with a
Oh.
plumber. But it's interesting that, you see, there you were, the young actress there, Coronation Street, offered the chance of a long-term relationship with that series. And yet you decided, no, I'm off, I'm doing something else. I mean, that took a deal of bravery in a sense.
Well, I just knew inside, I knew that I needed to have other adventures.
You did?
As an actor,
Yes. You said something interesting once. You said that, in fact, that you were always certain that you never really find your career satisfying or find your maturity till you were 40. Is it?
I always felt that.
Did you?
Because I was always playing older people.
Yes.
And if I played anybody over 45, my hand shook. And my voice got very old. Anybody over 45.
You've played also to some marvellous, I hope you don't mind the description, but grotesques, from Mrs. Malaprop to, say, to Hyacinth
Yes,
Bucket.
she is a grotesque.
She is a grotesque, isn't
Comedy
she?
is grotesque, I think, can be.
Yes. I mean, was comedy an important part in making you deciding your mind about becoming an actress?
I think it was the start
Is it?
of my love affair with theatre and entertainment, because I was born in Birkenhead, where there was one of the most wonderful music halls. And one of the most important meetings of the week was the family court of honour discussing the bill at the Argyle Music Hall for the previous week. And my father allowed them, my father was a high-class gentleman's outfitter, and he allowed them to hang their bill on his side wall next to the hat window. And for that privilege, he was given 2 complimentary tickets for the first house on a Monday night.
So that was what set your ambition
yes.
going, was it?
And we had a wonderful joke book, and I used to make up concerts for New Year's Eve and do them with my brother in front of my parents and sell chocolates in the interval and so on.
I like the way that these follow this high-class gents outfitters. I mean,
Yes.
not the normal, the high-class.
Well, you were always high-class in the north, you must know
Oh,
this.
exactly so.
You were a high-class milliner or a high-class confectioner.
That's right.
Confectioner.
That's right, exactly. Now, talking about the north, you've always remained very, very close to your northern roots, and it's informed your work. Not just so much in the parts you play and the way you play them, but certainly in the writers who've accommodated you. And I'm thinking particularly now of the relationship you've had professionally with Alan Bennett. When one thinks of the Talking Heads series, I mean, it's a remarkable moment in television when we saw those, and on the stage too. What is it about Bennett that you find so so seductive?
The observation, the fact that his work is microcosmic. He sees a world in a grain of sand. The sympathy, the humanity. I know those women. I mean, it's in one's bloodstream almost. There but for the grace of God, you know. One could be one of those lonely...
Tragic spinsters.
Tragic spinsters, a lone person fighting bureaucracy. The rhythm of his writing, the comedy.
I mean, you've done so much with him. I mean, does he find it easy to write for you?
I think he does now. He's written another series of Talking Heads.
Has he?
6. And he sent a little note with my monologue saying, I'm sorry if you find there are echoes, but I can hear your voice.
Right.
So obviously, when you do get to know a performer as a writer, you do write easily for them.
Yes. Now, you mentioned there that you can identify very easily with some of the people that he writes about. I don't mean to be impertinent when I ask you this question, but you never married.
No, I didn't do that.
You didn't
All
do
of a
that.
sudden, you turn around and you think, oh, I didn't do that.
But I remember
I nearly have done it, but I didn't.
Yeah, but I wondered why. Was that because of the job itself? Because I remember interviewing Damien Evans once, and she said to me that I was married to the theatre.
Well, in a sense, I suppose I understand that.
Do you?
But it's never been a conscious decision.
No.
I've been on the brink. But I would want to have done it all really properly and done the being mother to a family properly.
Yes.
But
when you were on the brink, I mean, what stopped you? Was it the theatre, the choice? The thought you might have to make a choice one day? Or?
No, they weren't quite exciting enough, I don't think.
Oh.
As an alternative.
That's a wonderful Alan Bennett line. They weren't quite exciting enough, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Do you find yourself like Bennett? I remember a most wonderful TV documentary of Bennett where he simply sat in the corner of a hotel room observing.
In Harrogate, I think, wasn't it?
That?
Oh, I remember that.
I mean,
and at 11:01, when that programme was over, I rang him and said, you don't need us anymore.
Yes.
Not anymore.
No.
He needs just the real people, the real thing.
Do you ever find yourself doing that? I mean, being a part of being an actress, observing people, watching?
Well, it's more absorbing people all the time.
Right. Yes.
You see, when I was little, you spoke when you were spoken to if you were with grown-ups. When you sat at a table for a family meal, you didn't, put your oar in at all. So I listened a lot and absorbed a lot. And I think it's, without being conscious, it's become a habit, really.
Do you find being an actress satisfying? In the sense of...
Yes, very.
Fulfilling?
Very. And when I kicked against it before I took the plunge, I was at university. And I realised that at the end of every term, when I was involved in a play, I was really using every part of my imagination, my brain, and I just found pretending to be somebody else absolutely fascinating.
When you found Hyacinth Bouquet, the extraordinary Mrs. Bucket.
Yes.
Where did she come from?
Well, she leapt from the page
Did she?
to start with. Good comedy writing has rhythm and imagery, and you can see quite clearly what is the stuff of a character if it's really well written. She leapt from the page, and I thought, well, I wonder if I can knit her up. And I always think that getting a performance together to me seems like starting on a long walk, say on one of those open roads in Wiltshire. And you start on this walk, and there in the distance there is a tiny speck of a character, a person that you have an idea of in your imagination. And bit by bit, if the rehearsals are good, you come closer to each other. And if you manage to meet up, link arms, and go off in the same direction, then you're in business. That's how I see it somehow.
That's lovely. That's the best exposition of acting I've ever heard, because normally you'd never ask that question, what is acting, because you get a boring answer.
Well, I've been trying to find out what acting is for years, or get a definition, and it sounds a bit highfalutin, this, but I think acting is the physicalization of the imagination. You can have all these little ideas in here and see people and understand the way they behave, but if you can then, if the word becomes flesh in a way, then you are illuminating part of life for other people, hopefully.
Are you a football fan?
I'm not very good at it. I'm not doing it. I've not tried doing it. I am proud to say that Tranmere Rovers is our local team, and that they beat Sunderland last Saturday, and that Uncle George Routledge was on the board. And I believe that one of our ancestors was a founder member of the team.
He has a lot
there,
to
sir.
Very well done. Well, I mean, well, then we'll bring Mr. Lineker on just a moment. For a moment, Pat Routledge, thank you very much indeed. In the overheated, often ugly world of professional football, my next guest shone like a good deed in a naughty world. He is one of our best and most popular footballers. In all his career, he was never booked or sent off. Nowadays, he makes a living reporting on sport on Football Focus, taking the mickey out of it when they think it's all over, and stealing crisps from children. He is Mr. Gary Lineker. Tranmere is one of the few clubs you haven't played for, isn't it?
It's, well, I didn't play for that many.
No, you didn't. That's true. No.
Not many English clubs.
No, that's right. Now, I just think that there's something strange about different perceptions of people, because to my generation, the generation following mine, you're a hero, football hero. And then there's it's true, And then there's this generation that knows he's a TV person. And there's a generation that only knows just someone who nicks crisps off kids, isn't it?
It's a trifle sad, really, isn't it?
But not really. It's just a sad decline, really.
Yeah, but, it's probably true, but that's my acting career. That's my physicalisation of my imagination.
How's business with the crisps?
Business is very good.
Good.
He does it very
happy.
My feeling about him, actually, Patricia, is that he's an old ham. I think he's not a footballer.
A bit porky now.
Not a footballer who became a TV person or an actor. He's the other way around. He's an actor, then became a footballer.
Well,
that's my view.
People said I acted in the football occasion.
Yes, that's right. Mind you, when you did that crisp thing, I don't know if you realised and understood this. I mean, people often stop me in the streets and say, that guy Lineker, he's wonderful on that crisp ad. And I say, well, the reason is because he learned from a master. Watch this.
That just cooked toast. Don't you insist on Walker's crisp?
And he scored again with that just cooked toast.
Don't you insist on Walker's crisps? Man after my own heart. Fantastic.
I'd forgotten I'd done the definitive reading of that. Let's talk about now about the career properly. I mean, you made this, in a sense, a kind of seamless transition, it seems, from being the football into the media. Well, it seems to be that way. Were there problems? I mean,
well, I think it's a difficult transition. In fact, one of my very first experiences of it, and when I used to work for the other channel, and they put me, it was a European game, I can't remember exactly, it was Manchester United were playing away, and they wanted me to be sort of like an on-the-pitch reporter. And it was the first time the camera had been stuck at me, and I was looking into it like that one there. And they said, they linked to me and said, Gary Lineker could give us a report on how the pitch is and what the players will be looking to do today. So I think my first words were along the lines of, well, this is really hard out here and I think all the players will be wearing rubbers. Whoops.
Whoops, yes.
I had this producer in my ear. Panic. What did you say?
Was it it can't have been easy. Was it more nerve-wracking? I mean, here you are, you're a footballer, you've played in front of 120,000, 130,000 people in the stadium, you know, you've had all that kind of onlookers' pressure on you. Is it a different kind of pressure you feel nowadays?
I think it's more difficult, or there's more pressure on this particular business where you're staring at a camera and the red light's about to go on and you have to perform, because in football it was something that I've always done, has always come comfortably to me, whereas I think presenting on television is something that I've had to learn, and I'm still very much a novice. And in football you're not on your own so much either.
Yes.
You know, and you could be found out with that camera, it tends to look very closely at you. But it is totally different. I mean, there are different sort of pressure. I think before you go out, the pressures are similar. What the great thing is, though, for me, because I think it's a difficult thing to replace, and there's a lot of life after football, is that it replaces that adrenaline rush.
Yes.
Which would be an easy thing to miss.
It would be an
and
easy
you do
thing.
get that buzz. The one thing it doesn't replace is the magical moment of scoring an important goal or winning an important game. I think that's irreplaceable. I don't think there's anything but sport that can deliver that.
And then all that loving and hugging that goes on. All that. I mean, a goal goes and then...
There were one or two that were very keen on that.
Not like tennis, where now they score a point and go...
Yes. He didn't do too much.
I do that after getting a laugh.
But he was very... he was very well behaved at the football field. I mean, I've got to ask you. I mean, did you ever really feel like chinning someone in a football field?
Well, once or twice, but it took a hell of a lot. And there was one or two matches where I've been spat at or something like that, which is particularly revolting. But as one manager once said to us, if anyone spits at you, you've just got to swallow it. Gordon Milne actually said that. It was fantastic. But by and large, I always thought the game was so difficult that you needed to have such good concentration and be in control of your own emotions that if you spent the whole time either arguing with the referee or trying to get revenge because somebody's kicked you, and that was the reason I didn't get the bookings, and the other one was that I never tackled anyone in my life, so I was never likely to miss time one.
I think it actually says quite a bit though about the state of modern society, not so much football, that you know, in a sense that the heroes have become the people who've misbehaved. And it's not just football, it's any sport. I mean, they criticise Pete Sampras. Why? He's not only a great tennis player, he's an exemplary example to anybody, you know. You can't be an exemplary example, can you? He's an exemplary hero figure. But then the kind of the rebels seem to be the people who get the headlines. And anybody who behaves themselves like you ends up with this accusation that somehow you're wimpish.
And dull and boring.
And dull and boring and all that sort of stuff, yes.
I think that can happen, but I don't think the people really feel that way. I think you were talking about putting people in pigeonholes, and that's I think what they tend to do. You're either really nice or you're really bad, and there's no grey areas. Everything's black and white now. And I think that there's still heroes out there that behave well.
But a headline of misbehaviour sells papers, you see. And also there is a desire to destroy the good, clean-cut image.
Well, there's always that desire. But at the same time, you need a mixture of characters. And you wouldn't want everyone sort of like me, dreadfully dull.
But it's not that... No, I don't object to that. I mean, there's a place for Gaza.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I could mention which where I think it should be. But what bothers me is that he's held up as some kind of responsible, you know, hero figure, somebody as an example to and he's not that. I mean, you knew him very well. You know him very well. You played with him. Yeah. Did you ever get involved in any of his escapades?
Oh, lots.
Did you?
Well, I tried not to. I mean, Gaza is fantastic fun, and he's capable of anything. He's also has a self-destruct button, which he presses occasionally, but he can be incredibly amusing. I remember one night out we had in London. I didn't go out with him too often in London. I learnt my lesson quickly. But we went to a restaurant with a view to going lads' night out to a nightclub later on. And we'd been to the restaurant and we went on the road trying to get a couple of taxis. There was a couple of other Spurs players and one or two friends. And we waited about 10 minutes and nothing came along. And Gazza said, well, there's a bus coming, let's get on the bus. And it was just after Italian night. I said, we can't get on the bus, just wait a few minutes. No, we're getting on the bus. So they all piled onto the bus and I sort of begrudgingly went on at the end, slightly embarrassed. And it was 2/3 full, this bus. And I walked in, there was a little Indian driver. And he said, and I walked on and I said, no, nobody's paid, I presume. How much do I owe you? He said, oh, no. He said, Lineker gas going on my bus. Wait till I tell my family. He said, no charge at all. And I thought, well, they won't believe you, but... and he said, please tell me where you're going. So I said, well... I said, we're going to so-and-so. I can't remember the name of the nightclub, but he said, oh, this is only 5 minutes off my route. I can drop you at the door. I swear this is true. So off he went, and the bus was... And you know, in the double-decker buses, they've got the big glass window next to the driver. Well, it's honestly true that Gazza went and stood on it, and he's looking at the rest of the bus, and he started singing, we're all going on a summer holiday. And the ridiculous thing is the whole bus joined in. And my face was as red as the bus at the end of it. And he dropped us right at the door.
Right at the door.
That's lovely.
What about, you've had, as I said, this kind of almost seamless transition, it seems, from being that sports hero now to having a successful career in broadcasting. If you look at your career, it's just had this one moment, this sort of potentially tragic moment in it. I mean, you know, this superstar, married to a beautiful woman and all that sort of thing. And then you had this dreadful moment when your son, your firstborn, George, was diagnosed when I think he was 6 weeks old as having... 6 weeks he showed the first symptoms, diagnosed at 8 weeks. At 8 weeks, of having a very aggressive form of leukemia. Is it difficult to talk about it?
Michelle finds it incredibly difficult to talk about. In fact, she never talks about it and gets very emotional when we do it. For me, it always helped. You know, I would talk, when I went back to... It took a few weeks to be able to speak to her. To be perfectly honest, the first few days, I couldn't speak to anyone. I couldn't speak to my parents. I just couldn't. I just choked up all the time. But I found in time that actually talking about it, what I did feel was people felt uncomfortable talking to me about it. They didn't really know how to handle it. But for me, it was almost a release, so I don't find it that difficult to talk about now.
I mean, the likelihood was, of course, that he was going to die. I mean, that was the first, and he underwent this extraordinary course of chemotherapy. Which, reading about it, I mean, that seems to me, I mean, that you had to make the choice then of making your son incredibly ill to become...
Well, they have to make them very ill to make them better. I mean, and that's the only way.
How bad was...
Well, it's horrible. It's the one thing I wouldn't want to go in too deep because people have got to go through it, and it's an awful experience, but you do know that that's the only chance your child has of being saved, and it's a decision you have to make. And ultimately, I think it's worth it. I mean, the stuff is poison. Chemotherapy is poison, and it burns, and you have to wear gloves when you change the nappies, and it's terrible. But ultimately, you put up with the whole thing, the whole gruesome experience, as long as you've got the belief that everything will be all right and the end story's okay. Now, we've been fantastically lucky. I mean, again, you talked about all the lucky things in my life. This is another... I mean, people say you're so unlucky for this to happen. But we weren't, because he's okay now. And, you know, touch wood, that's the case. He's medically cured. He's 5.5 years in remission. He's fantastic. Well, but not everyone is that fortunate, unfortunately. Not that fortunate. So you don't really want... You feel like you don't want to go overboard about how he's recovered because you know that other people are out there that are not in that situation.
What was the lowest point?
Well, I think the lowest point and the scariest point was the diagnosis itself. Originally, he had a few lumps on his head, and they thought it was this unpronounceable disease that basically meant he'd be ugly for a couple of years, and then it would disappear in its own time. And then we went back, and they said, yes, that is what it is. That's what they took a biopsy away, and they came back and they said that's what it is. And in the meantime, he got very sick, and his glands were up, and he was groaning. And I said, but if you look at this kid, I mean, he's ill. But they took his clothes off. I remember it ever so well, and they just, two of them, and they just, heads went straight down.
Doctors? They
pretty much knew straight away, and we were taken upstairs and told 10 minutes later. And that was just scary, because at that stage, I mean, you learn very quickly about the disease. But at that particular stage, it was just a word, leukemia, that meant you know, well, that's it. We were quickly told that there was hope, and thankfully that's proved to be the case.
And he's fine now.
He's fantastic. Well, you never know. He's fit and
9,
very bright.
8
he's 6 years old now.
6 now, is it?
6, and he was 6 in October. 6 and a quarter, George. Sorry. And he's really come on ever so well. And he's a goal hanger.
He's a
goal hanger.
Is he a goal hanger?
He's got into football recently, and I went to watch them play, and it's fantastic. They all run around in little groups.
Yes, they do.
And it's great to watch. And I went on this day, and after about 5 minutes, all this group went, and one little boy went and stood at the other end. It was my George. And the ball went, and he knocked one in the net. And all the parents who were watching, they went, that's my ball.
That's my ball.
Jesus.
Yes.
Yes. Get the glory. None of that defending nonsense.
And I mean, I suppose in a sense as well, although you wouldn't want to go through it, and nobody would. Do you draw a kind of strength, don't you, from that kind of experience? I suppose.
I don't know. I think.
Or do you?
You get something. You get a perspective. I think I already had a perspective. You know these things go on in the world, but what you do realise is it can happen to anybody, and at any particular time, you never know. But I think it makes you realise what really is important. Sometimes we take ourselves too seriously about things that don't matter that much, but it certainly makes you think about things a little more deeply.
Talking about taking things too seriously, I mean, you took sport too seriously enough, but not now. I mean, they think it's all over. I mean, you've done for sport what Mixon and Toes did for the rabbit, really. I mean, is it coming back?
There's talk about it coming back in the autumn. They're very confident. At the moment, there's 1 or 2 people are debating whether to actually do the series or not, but I'm fairly sure it'll come back.
You enjoy it?
It's great fun. I mean, it's great being taken the mickey out of for an hour or so. But they're funny. For me, it's a good night out, actually. And so they're funny guys. And I think sport does take itself too seriously sometimes, and I think that's where it's scored a few points and been so amazingly popular. I mean, the jokes are the same every series, you know, my big ears, and Rory's fat stomach, and Lee's bald head, and Gower's wig and stuff, but it's very popular.
John Arlott once said something, probably in the studio, in an interview I did with him many, many years ago, which sort of stuck with me, which you've just repeated there. And he said, you know, the problem with it all is that we take life too lightly and sport too seriously. I think that's right. We don't have a proper sense of balance about it, do we? And it's interesting.
But the funny thing, we're talking about what we went through before.
Yes.
And the experience of that. But it still mattered when you lost.
Oh, of course.
It was just still the same. It didn't make any difference to that.
Of course, but it's not life and death and
exactly,
pestilence and famine. It's not none of those things. It's a game in the end.
But you can't say that, can you?
It has to be life and death while you're playing it, though, doesn't it?
It feels like that.
Of course it
almost. It shouldn't, but it does.
And just one final, you would love this. He's so famous that not only did he have a play named after him, he signs autographs for his wife.
No, don't.
Tell the story, Patricia, please. Come on.
Well, it was a few years ago. I mean, I do tend to sign the odd autograph. And Michelle's birthday, we were in Barcelona. I'd been there a couple of years playing. And I gave her a birthday card in the morning, and I was looking over her shoulder while she opened it. And I never forget to this day that when she opened the card up, she opened it, it said, "To Michelle, best wishes, Gary Lineker." And I looked, and I just looked, and I thought, ah. And she looked, she wasn't happy at the time. She's got nothing now.
Have you written in for the card, by the way? Because I get letters from husbands asking me to sign birthday. Had you written in for your own signature?
That's the excuse I should have used, but I just couldn't speak at the time.
Well, sadly, that's all we've got time for just a moment anyway. But Gary Lineker, thank you very much indeed. I much enjoyed talking to you. Gary. Now, it's been said of my final guest, he's the greatest actor in America today. He demonstrated his talents in films like Driving Miss Daisy, The Unforgiven, and Seven. He's been nominated 3 times for an Oscar, once for his performance in this film, The Shawshank Redemption.
There's not a day goes by I don't feel regret. Not because I'm in here, because you think I should. I look back on the way I was then. the young, stupid kid who committed that terrible crime. I want to talk to him. I want to try to talk some sense to him. Tell him the way things are. But I can't. That kid's long gone, and this old man is all that's left. I gotta live with that. Rehabilitated. It's just a bullshit word. So you go on and stamp your form, Sonny, and stop wasting my time. Because to tell you the truth, I don't give a shit.
At 61, he's emerged as a late-blooming sex symbol, prompting one leading lady to pronounce him the sexiest man alive. I, for one, would like to know his secret. Ladies and gentlemen, Morgan Freeman. Late blooming sex symbol.
Late blooming sex symbol. First time I've heard that one.
Is it? That's
Yes.
Gwyneth Paltrow actually said that you were the sexiest man alive, your co-star. Were you-
Well, you know, at the time, it was Gwyneth and Brad Pitt and I doing a movie. And they had labeled Brad the sexiest man alive. And she needed to move that away from him.
You take the limelight off him, you think?
Yes.
So you got it on second hand.
Yes.
But you don't do many sex scenes, do you, in your movies?
No, I don't think I've ever done but one. And that was in a picture called Moll Flanders.
All right.
No, I hadn't had the opportunity. It's fun, though.
You've got this very sort of quiet style and authoritative style in your acting. It's that kind of acting where not a lot seems to be happening, and yet it's all there in the eyes and whatever. Is that what screen acting is about, do you think?
I think most of it is. The camera gets so close and can see so much that if you can master what the master has mastered, and I'm referring to Sir Anthony Hopkins, because I think he's the master actor.
Do you think he's the best actor?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Because he can do that so well. You know, he
That
does.
doing nothing.
Yes, he uses. I don't know how much of himself is actually working, but you never see anything but what he intends for you to see, and he seems to do nothing.
Of course, you've acted with him in Amistad, which is a
Yes.
film which is coming out shortly, a Steven Spielberg film. And of course, you've got another film coming out. Well, you've got two lined up in the wings. You've got Hard Rain, which you're promoting now. And also, of course, Kiss the Girls, which has not yet been released here yet, I don't think.
Okay.
So Hard Rain, I mean, you're now in a situation, I imagine, where you are that bankable actor in Hollywood. So you... so you can... Well, I mean, you get offers, right? So, I mean, what made you choose something like an action thriller like Hard Rain?
Action films are fun to do, and they pay well.
Which order does that come in? They pay well and they're fun to do?
Fun to do is first.
Yeah.
If it's not fun, getting paid for it may not really compensate you for the damage you're going to do to yourself. But they're fun to do, and if you find one that has an interesting story and offers you an interesting character, well, it's a sure come on,
Yeah.
you know. So I was really suckered into Hard Rain because I thought it was an exciting story and a very interesting character to play.
It's the wettest film I've ever seen. I mean, it never stops raining, does it?
Well, it doesn't, but you know, it's only one night long. I mean, the story takes.
Well, it's just setting up the clip, actually. It's about a flood disaster about to happen. It's about evacuating a town. You see scenes of the policemen evacuating the town. And at the same time there's going on, there's a subplot developing, or the main plot developing, which is you, a bank robber, and your associate, setting up an armored vehicle to rob. And the armored vehicle gets stuck in the floods, and we see, this is the scene where we pick it up, where you leading your gang toward the loot.
Hey! Look!
We just want the money. You guys walk away. We won't kill you. Okay? How's that? You got 30 seconds. Walk away. Come on, guys. The clock is ticking. What's it gonna be?
Every time I see that scene.
Why?
Well, because it took a long time to shoot it, and I was yelling all night.
Knee-deep in water.
It's a total hardship. I mean, we had 30-hour days.
What's interesting about you? I mean, not much is known about you, where you come from, your background in this country. People know you for your screen work. But, I mean, you were born...
Very humble beginnings.
Well, you were.
Very
I mean, Mississippi, in time of segregation in the 40s and the 50s.
Yeah, I was born in the 30s.
In the 30s. What kind of mark does it leave on you, being brought up like that?
My grandmother used to say that what didn't kill you would make you stronger. Yeah. So, I think, looking back on my life in Mississippi, I didn't have a bad childhood. I had a pretty good childhood. I lived in a small town. It's like being in a village. I had a lot of people looking after me. I didn't suffer, as I saw it, from any racism because I wasn't around white people, you know. The thing about segregation is if you are segregated, you're segregated. So you're not running into a lot of animosity, as it were. I ran into more animosity when I left Mississippi than I did when I was in Mississippi.
Whereabouts was that for you?
Almost
Chicago?
Anywhere. Chicago, primarily. Yeah. It was terrible up there. I hated it. It was cold.
Did you get involved in any gangs there? I mean,
I was in. If you're going to live in the city as a child and in a south side of Chicago at the time, that's the only way to survive. That's the only way you can move from one place to another on the streets is if you belong to. You got some backup, somebody that you can lean on, some protective mechanism. Otherwise, it's just a terror-filled jungle, as far as I can see.
What got you away from that environment? I mean, how does a child, what fascinates me is how a child in this environment ever contemplates being what you are today, being an actor, being...
Well, first, getting out of Chicago was just a matter of desperation. My mother was very ill, and they thought, well, there's nothing we can do for her up here. And my grandmother, who was still in Mississippi, came up, got the whole brood, took us back to Mississippi. That's what just before I was 12 years old. So, salvation, you know. I was gotten out of a very difficult situation and returned to a more benign situation. So, you can see from that I really don't have a bone to pick with my own state.
But was it the movies that inspired you at the time? Was it going to the movies and seeing film stars that...
Of course, you know, but I saw my first movie when I got to Chicago. I was 6 years old, and I suppose like all children, totally fascinated by moving pictures, and but I didn't think about becoming an actor until I was about 13 years old. I acted the first time when I was 8, in a little school pageant, and I didn't really mark the moment of empowerment that it brought me there. I didn't mark it until I think I was 12 when it actually, I got back on the stage and realized that I owned it, you know.
Really?
Yes.
You got that charge?
Yes, yes. I get on stage and I know everything I need to know. I know everything I need to know immediately.
Now what about I mean, you became this overnight success after 30 years of trying. I mean, it's the old classic story, isn't it? You know, overnight success, 30 years working up to it. But, I mean, have you, in all that time and now, I mean, do you find it difficult? Is there a problem involved in being a black actor in Hollywood? Is there a racist problem?
No, not in today's Hollywood. Hollywood, I think, sort of reflects the society, and the society is what is going on in the world today. So in America, in the UK, I'm certain, we're having, now we're watching this plurality as it blends, these multicultural societies that we have. You know, all of the ex-colonials that belong to the empire, a lot of them have come here, and it's the same thing in the U.S. We have such a porous borders. We have so many people from the South and from the North and other immigrants coming in. That they're all there, and you can't ignore them. And so what is happening, I think a large part, and particularly you can see it in television, is that it's all being mirrored by the entertainment industry. So the movies just naturally pick that up. Plus, in the Union, some years ago, back in the 80s, there was this concerted effort towards open casting. That the only way we're going to ever sort of realize our total potential is don't think about race when you cast. See who would fit the part and see if it works. It works.
Yes.
So here we are today at the level that we are, and I can't ever think of Hollywood as being racist. Hollywood's concerned with one thing: does it make money?
It doesn't care what color it is as long as it makes money. And yet, of course, and there's been these, as you know, I mean, Jesse Jackson and people like that have had an agenda about this. And you've always, reading about you, what you've always done is you've always stood away from the pressure groups, haven't you?
Yes.
Why is that, as a matter of policy? And it must have been a very difficult decision to make that.
You sort of nailed it when you said having an agenda.
Yes.
What is the agenda? What do you get when you're a pressure group? A couple of years ago, there was this great outcry because there was nobody black who got a Tony nomination, an Academy Award nomination. Hello? So what? That's the big question.
Yeah.
But if you have an agenda, you can always use that. It's like it's a trump card. You can always keep up your sleeve.
Yes.
Race.
Yes.
If you need something.
Yes. But that wouldn't make that what you're saying to me now, and this is a view that you put forward in America. That wouldn't necessarily make you the most popular man, would it? With the activists in America.
Be very careful with that one. Yes.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't personally, I don't want to or see the need to continue to play that card, because I think there's more divisiveness in that card than there is any kind of help.
You remind me very much, and I'm sure you won't mind me saying this, of someone else I've met and known, and that's Sidney Poitier. Well, I mean, but he has that same quiet way of doing things, both in his acting and in his private life.
I've always been a follower of Sidney. Sidney empowered me, encouraged me. His very life. I read his book.
It's an extraordinary story, isn't it?
Where he came to get to where he
where he came from, too.
Yes.
Well, the two of you.
Right. Well, the point is that if one can do it, many can do it. It's just a matter of focusing and working. I thoroughly believe that you get what you want in life.
Yes.
So be careful what you want.
So that was the inspiration then, was Poitier. And
he was one. He was the main one.
Yes.
He was, I had an occasion to tell him that in public once, that every young man needs a light, a beacon, something in the dark to show him the way, and he'd always been my beacon.
Yes. Well, Morgan Freeman, thank you very much indeed for talking to me. The best with your film called Hard Rain, and I hope some other time when you're over here, you'll call in and see us again. Ladies and gentlemen, Morgan Freeman. That's it then for this week. Thanks for watching. My thanks to Patricia Routledge, Gary Lineker and Morgan Freeman. Next week, my guests are the Deputy Prime Minister, John Prescott, and the superstar of rock and roll, Mr. Phil Collins. Until then, from all of us here, good night.
with more lovely moments from the life and career of Patricia Routledge in a special tribute night on BBC4, Tuesday evening from 7:30.